The stars glowed in the darkness of space as the human ship moved through the empty black. Commander Terrence Walsh sat in his chair on the bridge of the USS Dauntless. His blue eyes watched the main screen with care. The ship had been on patrol for 3 weeks now. It was a quiet job, but someone had to watch the borders. "Commander, I'm picking up something strange," said Lieutenant Olivia Mason. Her fingers moved quickly over her screen. "It's not one of ours." Walsh stood up. "Show me." The main screen changed. A ship appeared. It was unlike anything Walsh had seen before. The ship was smooth and curved, almost like it was alive. "Are they hailing us?" Walsh asked. Communications Officer Ben Peters nodded. "Yes, sir, but it's not in any language I know." "Run it through the translator," Walsh ordered. The bridge was quiet as they waited. Then a voice came through. It was high and musical. "Greetings, unknown vessel. We are representatives of the Galactic Hegemony. We come in peace." Walsh straightened his uniform. "Open a channel, Peters." "Channel open, sir. This is Commander Terrence Walsh of the United Earth Navy vessel USS Dauntless. We welcome peaceful contact." The screen flickered, and Walsh saw aliens. For the first time in his life, they had smooth blue skin and large dark eyes. No hair, no noses, just slits where a nose would be on a human. "We are pleased to make your acquaintance, Commander Walsh," the alien said. "I am Admiral Zixvar of the Hegemony Scout Fleet. We have been searching for new civilizations to join our community." "We are honored," Walsh said, keeping his voice steady even though his heart was racing. "We would be happy to discuss diplomatic relations." The alien's face changed. It was hard to read their expressions, but Walsh thought they looked confused. "Your vessel," Zixvar said. "It appears to be armed." Walsh nodded. "The Dauntless is a patrol ship. We maintain border security." There was a pause. The aliens seemed to be talking among themselves, though Walsh couldn't hear what they were saying. "Would you permit us to scan your vessel?" Zixvar asked. "It is standard procedure for first contact." Walsh looked at Lieutenant Mason. She shrugged. "I don't see." "Why not?" Walsh said. "You may scan us. We have nothing to hide." "Thank you, Commander." The bridge crew waited as the alien ship's scanners passed over the Dauntless. Walsh noticed the aliens' expressions changing again. They looked worried. "Is everything all right, Admiral?" Walsh asked. "Your ship," Zixvar said slowly. "These weapon systems, they are quite advanced." Walsh frowned. The Dauntless wasn't even one of their best ships. It was just a standard patrol vessel 10 years old now. Nothing special. "We've had these systems for some time," Walsh said. "They're standard issue for border patrol." The aliens were definitely upset now. They whispered to each other and looked at screens Walsh couldn't see. "And your hull," Zixvar continued. "What is it made of?" "Our scanners cannot identify the material." "It's a titanium graphene composite with radiation shielding," Lieutenant Mason said. "Nothing fancy." The alien's eyes widened. "Nothing fancy," one of them repeated quietly. Walsh was confused. These aliens acted like the Dauntless was something special. It wasn't. It was just a normal ship doing a normal job. "Admiral," Walsh said, "perhaps we could meet in person? We have meeting rooms that can be adjusted for different atmospheric needs." Zixvar seemed to hesitate. "That would be acceptable. But first, I must report to my superiors. This is an unexpected development." "What is?" Walsh asked. "Your level of military technology," Zixvar said. "Most species we encounter are not so prepared." Walsh didn't know how to respond to that. Humans had been building warships for centuries. It was just what they did. "We'll wait for your superior's response," Walsh said. "Thank you, Commander. Please stand by." The screen went dark. Chief Engineer Frank Carter walked onto the bridge. "What's going on?" The alien seemed upset. Walsh shook his head. "I'm not sure. They acted like our ship was some kind of superweapon." Carter laughed. "The Dauntless? She's a good old girl, but she's nothing special. Wait until they see the new Excalibur-class ships. Maybe we shouldn't mention those just yet," Mason said. "They seemed pretty freaked out by our standard patrol ship." Walsh nodded. "Let's take this slow. First contact is a delicate thing." 4 hours passed before the aliens contacted them again. This time, there were more blue faces on the screen. The new aliens wore fancy clothes with strange symbols. "Commander Walsh," Zixvar said. "May I present High Counselor Trey Nall of the Galactic Hegemony?" Walsh bowed his head. "It's an honor, High Counselor." The new alien studied Walsh with large eyes. "Commander, we are surprised by your people. We have encountered many species in our history, but none with your level of military development at first contact." "I'm not sure I understand," Walsh said. "The Dauntless is just a patrol ship." "Just a patrol ship," Trey Nall repeated. His voice was filled with wonder and fear. "Commander, your just a patrol ship has weapons that could destroy one of our cruisers in seconds. Your hull material is unknown to us, and your power readings suggest capabilities far beyond what we expected." Walsh looked at Mason, who raised her eyebrows. "We've been developing our technology for centuries," Walsh explained. "Earth has had its share of conflicts. We learned to build strong ships." "Conflicts," Trey Nall said the word like it was strange. "Yes, we suspected as much. Commander Walsh, we would like to invite a human delegation to our capital world. We must learn more about your species before we proceed." "I would be honored to bring a delegation," Walsh said. "Excellent. We will send coordinates. Please bring a small group only and—" Trey Nall paused. "If possible, come in a smaller vessel. Your Dauntless is intimidating to some of our people." After the call ended, the bridge was quiet. "Well," Carter said finally. "That was weird." "They're afraid of us," Mason said. "Did you see their faces? They think we're dangerous." Walsh looked out at the alien ship. It was beautiful, but he could see now that it had almost no weapons, no armor. It was like a glass sculpture floating in space. "Get me Admiral Jackson," Walsh said. "She needs to hear about this right away." As Communications Officer Peters made the call, Walsh couldn't help wondering what the aliens would think if they saw Earth's real warships. The Dauntless was nothing compared to those giants. And somewhere deep in his mind, a worrying thought formed. If these aliens were the friendly ones, what were the unfriendly ones like? And why did a peaceful galactic hegemony need to be so afraid of weapons? Captain Gregory Jones straightened his uniform as the small shuttle approached Centauron Prime. The planet was beautiful, covered in blue oceans and purple land. Tall silver towers reached into the sky. "It's amazing," said Dr. Susan Miller. She pressed her face to the window like a child. "I never thought I'd see an alien world." "Remember why we're here," Jones said. "This isn't a vacation." Miller smiled. "I know, Captain. But I'm still going to enjoy it." The shuttle landed on a floating platform. 6 aliens waited for them. They all had blue skin and large eyes. They wore flowing robes with strange patterns. Jones led his team out of the shuttle. Besides Miller, he had brought Lieutenant Dan Russo, a security officer, and communications specialist Kate Howard. "Welcome to Centauron Prime," said one of the aliens, speaking through a translator. "I am Counselor Vex Moore. We are honored by your visit." Jones bowed. "The honor is ours, Counselor. Thank you for inviting us." The aliens led them to a tall building in the center of the city. They rode up in a clear tube that showed the whole city below them. The humans tried not to stare, but it was hard. Everything was new and strange. The meeting room was large with a round table. More aliens waited there. They all looked at the humans with curious eyes. "Please sit," Vexmore said. "We have many questions for you." Jones and his team sat down. The chairs adjusted to fit their bodies perfectly. "First," Vexmore said, "we would like to learn about your history. How did humans develop such advanced technology?" Miller spoke up. "Our technology developed through centuries of scientific research and, unfortunately, warfare. Competition between nations drove innovation." The aliens looked at each other with worried expressions. "Warfare," one of them said. "You mean your people fought each other?" "Yes," Miller said. "Earth has a long history of conflict. We've had wars that covered the whole planet," the aliens whispered to each other. Jones couldn't understand what they were saying, but they seemed upset. And these wars, Vexmore asked, they led to your weapons development? Jones nodded. Many of our technologies were first developed for military use, then adapted for peaceful purposes. I see, Vexmore said slowly. And how long has it been since your last war? Global war? About 100 years, Jones said. But we still have smaller conflicts. The aliens looked shocked. One of them stood up and left the room quickly. Have we said something wrong? Howard asked. Vexmore's face was hard to read. No, it's just that the hegemony has been at peace for over 300 years. The idea of ongoing conflict is disturbing to us. Jones tried to explain. We work hard for peace, but humans have different nations with different interests. Sometimes those interests clash. And these clashes lead to people killing each other, another alien asked. Sometimes, Jones admitted, but we try to resolve most conflicts through diplomacy. The aliens didn't seem comforted by this. Perhaps, Vexmore said, you could tell us more about your ships. The one that met our scout fleet had impressive capabilities. The Dauntless? Jones smiled. It's just a patrol ship, nothing special. Could you show us some of your other vessels? Vexmore asked. Jones opened his tablet and showed them images of Earth's fleet. There was the Dauntless, small and fast, the heavier cruisers like the Resolute, and the massive carriers and battleships. As the aliens looked at the images, their faces changed. They seemed afraid. These ships, Vexmore said, pointing to a battleship. What are their purpose? Defense, Jones said. They protect Earth and our colonies. From what? An alien asked. What enemy requires such weapons? Jones didn't know how to answer. The truth was, Earth had built those ships to fight other humans. But now, they were used to protect human space from whatever might be out there. We believe in being prepared, Jones said finally. Prepared for what? Vexmore asked. Miller tried to help. Humans have always told stories about meeting aliens. Some of those stories involve conflict. We hoped for peace, but we prepared for anything. You built warships because you thought, we might attack you? An alien asked, sounding hurt. Not you specifically, Miller said quickly. We didn't know who we might meet. The universe is a big place. The room was quiet. Then Vexmore stood up. I believe we should take a break, he said. You must be tired from your journey. The humans were led to private rooms. They were nice, with comfortable beds and food machines that could make Earth dishes. That didn't go well, Russo said when they were alone. They're afraid of us, Howard said. Did you see their faces when we showed them the fleet? Jones nodded. They've been at peace for 300 years. They don't understand why we need warships. Should we tell them about the pirates? Russo asked. Let's wait, Jones said. I don't want to scare them more by talking about the attacks on our outer colonies. The next day, they met with the aliens again. This time, there were more of them. They sat in a half circle, looking at the humans like they were dangerous animals. Captain Jones, Vexmore said, we have been discussing your situation. We are concerned about your military capabilities. We come in peace, Jones said. Our weapons are for defense only. Yes, but defense against what? Vexmore asked. The galaxy has been at peace for centuries. Miller cleared her throat. Not all of it. We've had problems with pirates in our outer systems. The aliens looked surprised. Pirates? You mean criminals who attack ships? Yes, Jones said. They've hit several of our mining operations. We lost good people. And you responded with military force? An alien asked. Of course, Jones said. We couldn't let them keep killing our people. The aliens whispered among themselves again. In the hegemony, Vexmore explained, we handle criminals through rehabilitation and social integration. We haven't had to use violence against our own people in generations. Jones tried not to show his frustration. That's admirable. But these pirates aren't interested in rehabilitation. They attack, they kill, they leave. Our ships protect our people. And how do your ships protect? An alien asked. Jones hesitated. They fight if necessary. Our captains are trained to use minimum force, but they will destroy pirate ships if there's no choice. The shock on the aliens' faces was clear now. You destroy them? Vexmore asked. You kill the criminals? Only when necessary, Jones said. We try to capture them when possible. One of the aliens stood up. This is barbaric. No wonder your ships are built for war. Your whole society is based on violence. Jones felt his face getting hot. That's not fair. We value peace as much as you do. We just live in a different reality. A reality you created, the alien said. By building weapons, you create enemies. No, Jones said firmly. We build weapons because enemies already exist. The universe isn't always kind. Sometimes you have to fight to protect what you love. The room was silent. The alien stared at Jones with a mixture of fear and fascination. Finally, Vexmore spoke. Perhaps we have lived in peace for too long. We have forgotten that the galaxy can be dangerous. The hegemony is lucky, Miller said softly. Peace for 300 years is an amazing achievement. Humans dream of such peace. Yet you prepare for war, Vexmore said. We prepare for reality, Jones corrected. And reality includes both peace and conflict. The aliens looked at each other, then back at the humans. We have much to learn from each other, Vexmore said finally. Perhaps humans can teach us about vigilance, and we can teach humans about lasting peace. Jones nodded. I would like that, counselor. But as they continued their discussions, Jones couldn't help noticing how the aliens kept looking at the humans, with fear in their large eyes. They were afraid, and Jones wasn't sure if that fear would ever go away. Captain Laura Williams was drinking coffee when the alarm sounded. The USS Indomitable was passing through the Proxima Centauri system on a routine patrol. Now the calm of space was broken by the urgent wail of the emergency beacon. Report, Williams said, putting down her cup. Distress signal, Captain, said Lieutenant Jeff Parker from his communication station. It's coming from a hegemony research vessel. They're having some kind of reactor problem. Williams stood up. How bad? Bad, Parker said. They're saying total failure is possible within the hour. How far? 20 minutes at maximum speed. Williams didn't hesitate. Set course, maximum speed, alert engineering and medical. The Indomitable changed direction, its powerful engines pushing it toward the distress call. Williams opened the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We are responding to a distress call from an alien vessel. This is not a drill. All departments prepare for emergency operations. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Alan Rodriguez gathered his team. Listen up, he said. We don't know what kind of reactor they're using, but if it's failing, we need to be ready for anything. Radiation suits for everyone. His team nodded. They had trained for this. The Indomitable arrived at the hegemony ship in 18 minutes. The alien vessel was beautiful, with smooth lines and glowing blue lights. But now, some of those lights were flashing red, and part of the hull was dark. Open a channel, Williams ordered. The main screen showed an alien face. The blue-skinned creature looked terrified. This is Captain Laura Williams of the USS Indomitable. We received your distress call. Captain Williams, the alien said. It's voice shaking. I am Director Krell. Our main reactor is failing. We have tried everything, but our engineers cannot stop the cascade. We have 22 minutes before total failure. What kind of reactor? Rodriguez asked, stepping forward. Quantum fusion, Krell said. The containment field is collapsing. Rodriguez nodded. We've seen similar systems. I believe we can help. It's too dangerous, Krell said. The radiation levels in our engine room are already at lethal levels. Rodriguez smiled. We have suits for that. With your permission, I'd like to bring a team aboard. Krell hesitated, then nodded. We welcome your help, but I must warn you. No member of the hegemony would survive the current radiation levels. We're tougher than we look, Rodriguez said. Prepare your docking bay. Williams watched as Rodriguez and his team put on their radiation suits. The suits were bulky and uncomfortable, but they could block most types of radiation. "Be careful, Alan," Williams said. "Get in. Fix the problem. Get out." Rodriguez nodded. "Don't worry, Captain. I've dealt with worse." The human team boarded the alien ship. The hegemony crew stared at them with wide eyes. To the aliens, the humans in their suits looked like strange monsters. Director Krell met them at the airlock. "The engine room is this way, but I must warn you again. The radiation will kill you." "We'll take our chances," Rodriguez said. "Lead the way." The engine room of the hegemony ship was a marvel of technology. A glowing blue sphere hung in the center, surrounded by control panels. But the sphere was flickering and warning lights flashed everywhere. Rodriguez checked his radiation meter. "It's high, but we can handle it for about 30 minutes. Let's get to work." The humans moved quickly, examining the alien technology. It was different from what they knew, but the principles were similar. "The containment field is failing here." "And here," Rodriguez said, pointing to a display. "We need to reroute power and strengthen those sections." The hegemony engineers watched in amazement as the humans worked in an environment that would kill any alien in minutes. Even through their suits, the humans were receiving radiation that would make most species sick. Lieutenant Peter Holloway, Rodriguez's best engineer, was working on a control panel when a warning alarm sounded. "Chief, secondary coolant system is failing." Rodriguez looked at the readings and swore. "If that goes, the whole reactor will melt down. We need to vent the plasma buildup." "The venting system is behind that panel," a hegemony engineer said. "But the controls are damaged. It would have to be done manually." Rodriguez looked at the panel. It was glowing red from heat. "How long do we have?" 4 minutes, the alien said. Rodriguez began to move toward the panel, but Holloway stopped. "Him. I've got this, Chief. I'm already at max exposure. A little more won't hurt." Before Rodriguez could argue, Holloway was moving. He reached the hot panel and began working on it. His gloves started to smoke from the heat, but he kept working. "Manual override engaged," Holloway said, his voice tight with pain. "Venting plasma now." There was a loud hiss, and the warning alarm stopped. The blue sphere stabilized, its light becoming steady again. Holloway stumbled back from the panel. His suit was damaged and burns covered his hands and arms. "Get him to medical," Rodriguez shouted. The humans carried Holloway back to the Indomitable, where Dr. Helen Ward was waiting. She took one look at Holloway and began treatment for radiation exposure and burns. "Will he live?" Director Krell asked, watching as the human doctor worked. "Yes," Ward said without looking up. "He'll need skin grafts for the burns, and the radiation dose was high. But he's strong. He'll recover." Krell shook his head in wonder. "One of our people would be dead from that exposure." "Humans evolved on a planet with higher radiation levels than most species," Ward explained as she worked. "We can handle more." Later, when Holloway was stable, Williams met with Krell in the Indomitable's meeting room. "Your engineer saved my ship and everyone on it," Krell said. "We owe you a great debt." Williams smiled. "Lieutenant Holloway was just doing his job. Any of my crew would have done the same." "That's what frightens me," Krell admitted. "Your people walk into danger without hesitation. You endure pain that would break most species. How did humans become this way?" Williams thought for a moment. "Earth wasn't always kind to us. We evolved to survive, to endure, to keep fighting even when it hurts." "Fighting," Krell repeated. "Always fighting." "Not always by choice," Williams said. "Sometimes the fight comes to you and you have to be ready. Like today," Krell nodded. "If you hadn't been ready, if your people weren't so resilient, we would all be dead." The hegemony ship was repaired enough to travel, thanks to the human engineers. As they prepared to leave, Rodriguez gave the alien engineers some suggestions for improving their reactor design. "Add backup systems here and here," he said, pointing to a diagram. "And these coolant lines should be separate. Never put all your critical systems together." "Why?" an alien engineer asked. "Because things break," Rodriguez said simply. "And when they do, you need backups." The aliens nodded, but their faces showed confusion. In their 300 years of peace, they had forgotten something humans knew in their bones. Things break, systems fail, and you have to be ready when they do. As the hegemony ship departed, William stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching it go. "They think we're crazy," Parker said, walking into that radiation. "Maybe we are," William said. "Or maybe we just understand something they've forgotten." "What's that, Captain?" "That survival sometimes requires sacrifice. That there are things worth risking your life for." The Indomitable resumed its patrol, but now stories of the human ship and its brave crew spread through the hegemony. Stories of beings who walked into deadly radiation to save aliens they had just met. Beings who endured pain that would kill most species. Beings who called it just doing their job. In the hegemony's High Council chamber, Admiral Zixvar presented his report on the incident. "These humans," he concluded, "are unlike any species we have encountered. They build ships for war. They expect systems to fail. They plan for the worst. And when the worst happens, they survive it." High Counselor Traynal nodded slowly. "The question is, Admiral, are these humans a threat to the hegemony, or could they be its greatest protectors?" "I don't know," Zixvar admitted. "But I do know this. We have been at peace so long that we have forgotten what it means to fight. These humans have not forgotten, and that makes them dangerous and valuable." On the Indomitable, Lieutenant Holloway woke up in the medical bay. His hands were wrapped in bandages, and his skin tingled from the anti-radiation drugs. "How are you feeling?" Dr. Ward asked. Holloway tried to smile. "Like I got too close to a star. Did it work? Did we save them?" Ward nodded. "You saved everyone on that ship. The aliens think you're some kind of hero." Holloway closed his eyes. "Not a hero. Just doing my job." And that, more than anything, was what the hegemony couldn't understand about humans. To them, facing death was extraordinary. To humans like Holloway, it was just Tuesday. The hegemony's cultural center on their homeworld was a massive building with rooms dedicated to every species in their alliance. Now, they were making a new room for humans. Curator Mullane was in charge of the project. She was excited to learn about Earth culture. "What should we include in the display?" she asked Commander Nicole Franklin, who had been sent as a cultural advisor. Franklin smiled. "Books, music, art, the usual things. Can you suggest some human entertainment? Things your people enjoy watching?" "Sure," Franklin said. "I can show you some classic films." They sat in a viewing room and Franklin played parts of different movies. Mullane watched with growing horror as the screens showed humans fighting, aliens surviving world-ending disasters, and battling each other in massive wars. "These are entertainment?" Mullane asked, her blue skin pale. "Your people watch these for pleasure?" Franklin nodded. "They're just stories. Fiction, not real." "But they're so violent," Mullane said. "This one shows your planet being invaded by aliens. This one shows a disease killing most of your population. And this one," she pointed to a screen showing a nuclear explosion. "This shows your own world being destroyed. We like to imagine what-if scenarios," Franklin explained. "It's how we prepare mentally for challenges." "By imagining the worst possible outcomes?" Mullane asked. "Sometimes, yes." Mullane turned off the screens. "I think I've seen enough for today." Word spread through the hegemony about human entertainment. The aliens were shocked that humans spent their free time watching stories about war, disaster, and struggle. Some hegemony psychologists suggested that humans must be mentally unwell to enjoy such things. Meanwhile, cultural exchange continued. Humans learned about hegemony art, music, and literature. They found it beautiful but often lacking in conflict or tension. The aliens' stories usually focused on cooperation and harmony. Even their games were about working together rather than competing. Some humans found these entertainments boring. Some aliens found human entertainment disturbing. But both sides tried to understand each other. A few weeks later, Commander Franklin was invited to tour the hegemony's military academy. She was curious to see how the aliens trained their soldiers, especially since they had been at peace for so long. The academy was more like a university than a military base. The alien officers spent most of their time studying politics, diplomacy, and alien cultures. They practiced emergency response and first aid, but they spent almost no time on combat training. "This is our tactical simulation room," said Admiral HFY, showing Franklin a large room with holographic displays. "Our officers practice fleet movements and emergency procedures here." Franklin watched as alien cadets ran a simulation. They were responding to a scenario where a ship's engines had failed in a dangerous area of space. "May I?" Franklin asked, gesturing to the controls. "Of course," HFY said. Franklin adjusted the simulation. Now, instead of an accident, the cadets faced an attack by unknown ships. The alien cadets froze, unsure what to do. Their ships were quickly destroyed in the simulation. "I'm sorry," Franklin said. "I didn't mean to upset them." "It's not your fault," HFY said. We don't practice combat scenarios very often. There has been no need." Franklin looked at the failed simulation. "Admiral, may I make an observation?" "Please do." "Your ships have almost no defensive capabilities, no armor, minimal shields, and your officers aren't trained to handle attacks." HFY nodded slowly. "As I said, there has been no need. The hegemony has been at peace for 3 centuries. "Peace is wonderful," Franklin said. "But in my experience, it only lasts if you're ready to defend it." The Admiral was quiet for a moment. "Would you be willing to show us how humans prepare?" Franklin nodded. "I can show you some of our training methods." For the next few hours, Franklin showed the alien cadets basic human military tactics. She explained concepts like defensive formations, evasive maneuvers, and coordinated responses to attacks. The aliens were quick learners, but the ideas were new to them. "Your military thinking is so different," HFY said as they watched the cadets practice. "You assume attack. You prepare for damage. You expect casualties. We hope for the best, but prepare for the worst," Franklin said. "It's kept us alive." After the training session, HFY invited Franklin to his office. The walls were covered with maps of hegemony space. It was vast, with thousands of worlds and countless species. "Commander," he said, "I must ask you something directly. Are humans planning to attack the hegemony?" Franklin was shocked. "Of course not. We want peace, we want to be friends." "Then why are your ships built for war? Why are your people trained to fight? Why do you watch stories about conflict and disaster?" "Because that's been our history," Franklin said. "Earth has seen war. We've faced disasters. We've had to fight to survive. So we remember those lessons, even in times of peace." HFY looked at her with his large eyes. "The hegemony has forgotten those lessons. We have been at peace so long that we no longer know how to fight. Is that why you think we are weak?" "I don't think you're weak," Franklin said. "I think you're lucky. 300 years of peace is an amazing achievement. Humans dream of such peace. Yet you prepare for war," HFY said. "We prepare for reality," Franklin corrected him. "And reality includes both peace and conflict." Unknown to Franklin, her words were being recorded. In another part of the hegemony capital, a secret meeting was taking place. Archon Velnara, head of the hegemony's intelligence division, was showing historical records from Earth to a small group of high-ranking officials. "These are the human world wars," Velnara said, displaying images of Earth's conflicts. "Twice, in their history, these humans fought wars that covered their entire planet. Millions died. And this," he showed an image of a mushroom cloud, "is a nuclear weapon. The humans developed bombs that could destroy entire cities." The officials watched in horror as Velnara showed them Earth's violent history. "How did they not destroy themselves?" one official asked. "They came close," Velnara said, "but they survived. And in surviving, they became stronger. Their ships are designed to take damage and keep fighting. Their crews are trained to work Even when systems fail, they expect the worst and prepare for it. Are they a threat to us? Another official asked. Velnara paused. I don't know. They claim to want peace, but they are warriors. The massive human ship appeared at the edge of the Centauran system like a dark star. The USS Defiance was the pride of Earth's fleet, a battleship twice the size of any hegemony vessel. Its dark hull was marked with scars from past battles. Its weapon systems were silent but ready. On the bridge, Captain Samantha Wright watched the approaching hegemony escort ships with calm eyes. Her red hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and her uniform was perfect. They've sent 6 ships to meet us, said Navigation Officer Paul Dixon, forming a half-circle pattern. Wright nodded, respectful but cautious. Open a channel, Mr. Dixon. Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Samantha Wright of the United Earth Navy vessel USS Defiance. We are here at the invitation of the Hegemony High Council to attend the Galactic Concordance celebration. The main screen showed an alien face. Captain Wright, I am Fleet Commander Jaltir. Welcome to Centauran. We will escort you to the orbital station. Wright smiled. Thank you, Commander. We will follow your lead. The Defiance moved slowly, following the smaller alien ships. On the hegemony vessels, alien crews stared at the human ship with awe and fear. It was like watching a great predator animal, beautiful, powerful, and deadly. The Defiance docked at the massive orbital station, where the celebration would be held. Representatives from all 17 species of the hegemony had gathered for the anniversary of their alliance. Now, an 18th species would join them. Wright led her delegation through the airlock. Besides her officers, she had brought diplomats, scientists, and cultural experts. They were greeted by High Counselor Traynall himself. Captain Wright, Traynall said, bowing slightly. The hegemony welcomes you and your crew. Wright returned, the bow. Thank you, High Counselor. We are honored to be included in your celebration. The humans were shown to their quarters. The rooms had been adjusted to match Earth gravity and atmosphere. Everything had been prepared for their comfort. Later, that evening, the official reception began. The great hall of the station was filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some floated in the air, some moved on many legs, some glowed with inner light, and among them walked the humans, looking simple and plain next to such exotic beings. Wright stood with her senior officers drinking a blue liquid that tasted like sweet mint. Aliens approached them, curious but nervous. Is it true, one alien asked, that your ship has fought in actual battles? Wright nodded. The Defiance has seen combat, yes, mostly against pirates in the outer systems. And those marks on its hull? Those are damage? Another alien asked. Battle scars, Wright confirmed. We keep some of them as reminders, the aliens whispered among themselves. In the hegemony, damaged ships were fully repaired or recycled. The idea of keeping scars as reminders was strange to them. Across the room, Archon Velnara watched the humans with narrow eyes. The head of intelligence had spent months studying these beings. He had read their history, watched their entertainment, studied their warfare. He still wasn't sure if they were a blessing or a curse. Velnara approached High Chancellor Urix, the true leader of the hegemony. Chancellor, we need to talk about the humans, Velnara said quietly. Urix nodded, and they moved to a private room off the main hall. The room had no windows, and the door sealed behind them. What troubles you, Archon? Urix asked. He was older than most aliens, his blue skin wrinkled with age. These humans, Velnara said, they are not like us, not like any species we have encountered. Because of their warships, their military history, we have discussed this many times. It's more than that, Velnara insisted. Look at how they think. They expect things to go wrong. They prepare for failure. Their ships have backup systems for their backup systems. Their crews train for disasters we can't even imagine. Urix was silent for a moment. And you see this as a threat? I see it as different, dangerous perhaps, but also valuable. Urix's eyes widened. You believe the ancient enemy is returning? It wasn't a question. The reports from the deep space sensors had been coming in for months. Strange signals from beyond the rim of the galaxy. Patterns that matched those from 3 centuries ago. Do, Velnara said. And when they come, we will not be ready. The hegemony has been at peace too long. We have forgotten how to fight. But the humans remember, Urix said. Yes, they remember. It's in their blood, in their ships, in their stories. They are warriors to their core. Urix walked slowly around the room, thinking. So you believe we should ally with these humans? Bring them fully into the hegemony? I believe we have no choice, Velnara said. Without them, we may not survive. What is coming? Back in the main hall, Wright was talking with Admiral Zixvar. The alien officer had been showing her the hegemony's fleet deployment maps. Your defense pattern is interesting, Wright said diplomatically. What she really thought was that it was terrible. The hegemony ships were spread too thin, with no fallback positions and no reserve forces. It has served us well during peace, Zixvar said, but I fear it would not serve us in war. Wright looked at him sharply. You're expecting war? Zixvar hesitated, then nodded. There are signs, nothing certain, but enough to worry those who remember the past. What signs? Wright asked. Before Zixvar could answer, Urix and Velnara returned to the hall. The High Chancellor moved to the center of the room and the music stopped. Friends, Urix said, his voice carrying to every corner. Today, we celebrate 300 years of peace and unity in the hegemony. 300 years of cooperation between 17 different species. The aliens applauded. And today, we welcome an 18th species. Humans. From the planet Earth. Wright felt all eyes turn to her and her officers. The humans are different from us in many ways. Urix continued. They have known war. They have built ships for battle. They have faced hardships we can barely imagine. The room was silent now. Some among us have feared these differences, but I say, we should welcome them, for in our long peace we have forgotten things that may soon be needed again. Wright saw worry spread across the faces of the aliens. What was the Chancellor saying? 300 years ago, the hegemony faced a terrible enemy. We united to survive. And now, there are signs that this enemy may be returning. Gasps filled the room. Many of the younger aliens looked confused. The older ones looked afraid. If this threat returns, the hegemony will need strength, courage, the will to fight for what we have built. These are qualities our new human friends have in abundance. Urix turned to Wright. Captain, in the short time your people have been among us, you have already shown great courage. Your engineers saved one of our research vessels. Your officers have shared knowledge that we had forgotten. Your ships stand ready to defend, not just your world, but all worlds. Wright nodded, not sure where this was going. Therefore, I propose a formal alliance between the hegemony and Earth. Not just membership, but partnership. We will learn from each other. We will grow stronger together. And if the darkness returns, we will face it together. The room was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly, the aliens began to applaud. Some looked afraid, others hopeful. But all seemed to understand that something important had happened. Later, after the formal agreement had been signed, Wright stood on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. Velnara joined her there. You didn't seem surprised by the Chancellor's announcement, Velnara said. Wright shrugged. Earth has faced its share of threats. We know that peace doesn't last forever. Something is always coming. And that doesn't frighten you? Velnara asked. Of course it does, Wright said. Fear is normal, but fear doesn't stop us. It just reminds us to be ready. Ready for what? For whatever comes next. Velnara was quiet for a moment. The enemy we faced? They are like nothing you have encountered. They do not negotiate, they do not show mercy, they simply consume. Wright nodded. We've imagined such enemies in our stories. We've prepared for them in our nightmares. If they come, we'll be ready. How? Can you be so confident? Velnara asked. Wright smiled. Because that's what humans do. We prepare for the worst, we hope for the best, and when the time comes, we fight with everything we have. The next day, the Defiance began joint training, exercises with the Hegemony fleet. The aliens watched in amazement as the humans ran battle drills, practicing for scenarios most aliens had never considered. You practice fighting with damaged systems? A Hegemony engineer asked Chief Officer Karen Butler as she ran her team through a drill. Of course, Butler said. Systems always fail in real combat. You have to know how to work around it. But wouldn't you just retreat if your ship was damaged? Butler laughed. Retreat? When there's still fight left in her? Not likely. The Hegemony crews learned quickly. Though they had been at peace for centuries, they had not lost their intelligence or their adaptability. With human guidance, they began to remember the old ways of warfare. They began to prepare, and deep in uncharted space, beyond the rim of the galaxy, something ancient and hungry began to move. It had been patient. It had been waiting. It had expected to find the same weak, peaceful beings it had nearly consumed 3 centuries ago. It did not expect to find them allied with warriors from another world. Warriors who built ships meant to fight even when damaged. Warriors who had spent their whole history preparing for war, imagining,